All right, welcome to part 2 of finding a forehand bomber with tech disc. So here you can see the Goliath Slingshot and the Bayonet have come in from Infinite Discs, and we're out in the field. We're going to put those up against a Champion Boss and a Metal Flake Corvette. You see there the Boss was in orange. The Corvette is in Metal Flake. If you remember, what we had done is we used tech disc to pick the disc that's going to go the furthest for us based off of flight numbers. Now we're going to head out to the field and see which one of these discs ends up going the furthest. The Boss and the Corvette are discs that are in my bag. The Bayonet and Slingshot are the ones that tech disc picked for us. There's the first throw with the Boss. You can see that I've finally figured out how to do follow flight. So I think that's pretty cool that I can start getting that into these videos. I had to switch the editor that I'm using, but pretty cool addition to be able to get that follow flight in there. So that first Boss throw, we got 383 feet. Here comes the second one with the Corvette, and that's going to go 395 feet. So we got a little bit of extra distance out of that Corvette. And here we go. First throw with the Bayonet to see if it is a further flying disc for us. And I got that one up. I threw it really flat because we didn't know how it was going to act. It's the first throw I've ever had with it. It ended up super overstable, didn't turn over at all and just dumped out. So 295 feet for that Bayonet. We're definitely going to have to give that a little bit more ante. Bayonet, same thing. We're going to get it out there flat and see what it does. Definitely got more turn out of that, and we get a full flight out of it at 385 feet. So the Boss, the Corvette, and the Slingshot on our first throw, right around the same. So not a ton of difference between the three of them. Here comes our second throw with the Boss of the day. And another full flight out of that one. Looks like it's going to end up a little bit shorter at 369 feet. Okay, second throw with the Corvette here. Got that one up higher. Again, getting a decent flight. That one struggled to come out of it. Still got out there pretty good, 377 feet. And back to the Bayonet. So we're going to try and give this one more ante and see if it can't fight its way out of it. So that lot of ante on it still went right into dumping out. So that thing is way beefier than the flight numbers suggest, and not really something that I'd be looking to bag because, I mean, I'm going to have to throw my arm out to get that thing going. Another pretty good shot out of the Slingshot there. That one, 403. So current leader is the Slingshot. Loading up throw 3 here. Get that Boss going. I stopped doing the follow flight here. It's a lot of work, and with 40 throws to go through, it's going to be a lot of effort. I'm not going to make you guys watch all the throws. So after a few more, we'll jump into the data and we'll talk about which disc ended up flying the furthest. There you see the Corvette turned over and burned. That's a fairly common occurrence when I really try and put a lot on the Corvette. And that's what I was trying to do here. I was trying to up the power and see if we couldn't get a little bit more distance. Same thing again with the Bayonet. That one had a lot of ante on it. Still dumped really early, only 280 feet. Out of that one. And here comes another one with the Slingshot. We'll see if we can beat that 403 number. That one had more height on it, gets the left turn, but much like the Corvette, that one ended up bailing out. I probably put about the same amount of power into the Slingshot there as I did the Corvette. We're going to jump forward quite a bit here. You see that some of those max distances ended up updating there, but this is actually the 6th throw of the session. So we've gotten the Boss out to 411, and this is an absolute bomb. So that thing got out there. That is 427 feet. That's about the most that you're going to see this old man's arm have in it. So today was quite a challenge actually for my arm. Trying to get 40 max distance forehands in a single session was extremely hard on my arm. My elbow cannot put up with this type of abuse. But here's another big rip with the Corvette. Got good height, a good turnover, and a full flight, and that's going to be the longest one for the Corvette as well. That's at 403, so a really good throw there. Here comes the Bayonet. I've started putting a ton of ante on it, but again, it's clear to me that this Bayonet is nowhere near the disc I want it to be. So you see how much ante I put on that to get it to flex out and do a full flight. That one 359. It's getting nowhere near the other three discs here. So here comes the Slingshot, still trying to beat that 403, and Slingshot engaged, shake and bake. That one got a full flight, but not going to beat that 403 number. So like I said, I'm not going to make you guys watch all of those throws. I'm going to jump over to the data, and we can just talk about the numbers. So I have all 10 throws loaded up here. The average is shown right here on this bottom line, and you can see that the Boss ended up staying my furthest flying forehand disc, 368. It beat both the Bayonet and the Slingshot, as well as the Corvette. And I'd say that this sort of holds true to my real life throws, where what happens often is that the Corvette ends up burning over because I put too much power into it, whereas I end up getting a more consistent flight out of the Boss. I do still bag the Corvette because it can get much further distances, which we didn't get one today that beat the Boss's throw. But overall, I feel like the Corvette still can be my furthest flying disc. The Bayonet is definitely not going to make the bag, so I don't think that it lives true to the flight numbers, at least not this one that we got. The Slingshot, on the other hand, I really like. It ended up beating the Corvette at 360 feet. The max distance between the two was within 2 feet, so I think that the Slingshot is something I'm probably going to put in the bag and see if it can upset the Corvette, because it does seem a little bit more consistent. I get a fuller flight out of it more often without it turning and burning. So it'll be interesting to pair those two against each other going forward. So I'm happy that I did this because it gave me a disc that I can try out and see. But the Boss is definitely not getting kicked out of the bag, and the Slingshot has quite the battle on its hands to try and get rid of that Corvette. So there you see it. Tech Disc picked me one interesting disc and one not so interesting disc. So definitely a good thing to try out. Let me know if you try this, what Tech Disc says is your furthest flying forehand disc. Thanks, and make sure to like and subscribe.